There comes a quiet moment in life, often when you least expect it, when the balance between parent and child begins to shift. You've spent a lifetime giving your best. Late nights, hard choices, every ounce of love poured into raising them. But over time, something changes. And one day, you feel it. They stop asking for your thoughts. They brush off your advice like it doesn't matter. They speak to you with impatience, or worse, like you're in the way. And that hurts, more than most people realize. If your children have started showing less respect, it's completely natural to feel hurt, maybe even angry. You might feel the urge to remind them who you are, everything you've done, all the years you put them first. But here's the thing, anger doesn't fix it. Most of the time, it only pushes them further away. There's a better way, a quieter, more powerful way. It doesn't involve yelling, guilt, or resentment. In this message, I'll walk with you through 6 simple shifts. Small changes in how you respond, that can help you quietly rebuild the respect that's been slipping away. Some of these might feel unfamiliar at first, but if you stay with me, you'll see how much strength you still hold, not by forcing things, but by standing tall in who you are. Let's get started. Action 1. Stop chasing their approval. One of the biggest mistakes parents make, especially as they grow older, is trying too hard to please their children. Maybe you've caught yourself doing it. You go out of your way to accommodate them. You say yes when you really want to say no. You put their needs ahead of your own, hoping that if you just do enough, they'll finally appreciate you more. But here's the painful truth. The more you chase their approval, the less they respect you. You know what I mean, don't you? Respect isn't earned through self-sacrifice. It's earned through self-respect. When you're always bending over backward, always giving in, always trying to keep the peace, what you're really teaching them is that your feelings come second. And once they start believing that, it's easy for them to take you for granted. I once knew a woman named Margaret, strong, sharp, independent, especially in her younger years. But as she got older, she started letting her children make all the decisions. She rearranged her schedule for them. She stayed quiet when they spoke down to her. She kept saying, "I just want to keep the family together." But over time, her children stopped valuing her. They saw her as someone who would always agree, always adjust, always stay silent. She thought she was keeping the peace. But what she was really doing was losing her voice. So if your children don't seem to respect you, the first step isn't to demand it. It's to stop acting like you need it. Set boundaries. Say no when it matters. Speak your truth, even if they don't like hearing it. Because the moment you begin respecting yourself, they'll begin seeing you differently. And in time, that respect will come back. Action 2. Don't argue. Lead by example. When your children dismiss your opinions, talk over you, or treat you with disrespect, your first instinct might be to argue. You might feel the urge to remind them of everything you've done, to demand that they listen. But let me share something that could save you years of heartache. Arguing never works. Think about it for a moment. When's the last time you convinced someone to truly respect you by fighting for it? Respect isn't won through words. It's earned through presence, through the way you carry yourself, and how you respond when someone tests your patience. If you meet their disrespect with anger, all you're doing is confirming what they already believe, that they've got power over you. I once knew a man named Frank. He was a retired teacher who had spent decades commanding a classroom with strength and calm. But at home, with his grown children, it was a different story. They ignored his advice, dismissed his concerns, even laughed when he tried to correct them. At first, Frank argued. He tried to push back, to prove he still deserved their respect. But the more he fought, the worse things got. Then one day, Frank made a shift. He stopped arguing, and he started listening, really listening. He no longer chased respect with words. He carried himself like someone who already had it. He spoke slowly, with wisdom, calmly, without trying to win. And over time, his children noticed. They saw a man who wasn't desperate for their approval, a man who didn't need to explain himself. He just was. Solid, steady, sure of who he is. If your children don't respect you, don't fight them for it. Show them what respect looks like by how you treat yourself. Hold your dignity. Speak with quiet confidence. And whatever you do, don't lower yourself to their level. Because when you stand your ground with grace, they'll feel it. And in time, they'll follow your lead. If you're still here and finding this helpful, let me know by commenting the number 2 below. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss a video. Your support helps us keep creating thoughtful content to inform and to inspire. Now, let's move forward. Action 3. Withdraw your emotional dependence. One of the hardest lessons to learn as you grow older is that you can't depend on your children to fill your emotional cup. You may love them with all your heart. You may want their love and respect in return. But the moment they sense that you need them to feel valued, something shifts. That's when the power in the relationship quietly changes hands. Here's the truth, and it may not be easy to hear. Even your own children tend to respect those who are emotionally independent. When you rely on them for constant validation, affection, or attention, it puts pressure on them. And instead of feeling grateful, they start feeling weighed down. That pressure can make them pull away. They might grow impatient, even irritated. And the more you chase their love, the less freely they give it. I once knew a woman named Helen, a warm-hearted mother from just outside San Diego. She gave everything to her children. But as they got older, busier with their own lives, Helen found herself sitting by the phone, waiting for a call, hoping for a visit. And when they didn't reach out, she started calling them instead. Often. Too often. Reminding them how much she missed them, how she wished they'd come by more. But instead of drawing them closer, it created distance. Her calls became an obligation, something they had to return, not something they looked forward to. Then one day, Helen made a quiet change. She stopped waiting. She stopped reaching out first. Instead, she focused on herself. She picked up a painting class at the senior center. She started meeting a friend every week for coffee. She found little ways to bring joy back into her own day. And something surprising happened. Her children started calling more, not out of guilt, but curiosity. They began respecting her time, seeing her as someone with her own full life. The lesson is simple. The less you depend on your children to feel needed, the more they will begin to value your presence. When you show them that you can stand strong on your own, they won't respect you out of obligation. They'll respect you because they genuinely admire the life you've built for yourself. Action 4. Set boundaries and enforce them. One of the biggest reasons children lose respect for their parents is because the parents allow it. If you let your children speak to you with disrespect, if you let them ignore your thoughts, if you let them treat your time and feelings like they don't matter, they'll keep doing it. Not because they're bad people, but because people, especially family, will always treat you the way you allow them to. Setting boundaries doesn't mean cutting your kids off. It doesn't mean creating drama or conflict. It means calmly and clearly deciding what kind of behavior you will and won't accept. And just as important, it means following through when those boundaries are crossed. I remember a man named Robert, a retired businessman from Bakersfield. He had spent his entire career running a company with discipline and quiet confidence. But when it came to his adult children, he struggled. They interrupted him, dismissed his concerns, even criticized the way he lived his life. At first, Robert let it slide. He told himself it wasn't worth the fight. But over time, he realized something. Every time he stayed quiet, he was teaching them that their behavior was okay. So one day, he made a change. When his son interrupted him, Robert calmly said, "I'll continue speaking when you're ready to listen." When his daughter brushed off his opinion, he replied, "You don't have to agree with me, but I expect to be treated with respect." And when they kept testing him, he made it clear. If they couldn't show basic courtesy, he wouldn't be spending time with them. And you know what happened? They started listening. At first, they resisted. But over time, they realized their father wasn't backing down. They saw that he valued himself enough to demand respect. And because of that, they began giving it. So if your children aren't respecting you, it's time to ask yourself an honest question. Are you allowing it? Because if you don't set boundaries, they won't set them for you. And if you don't stand up for yourself, no one else will. If you're still watching and this message resonates with you, comment the number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and turn on the bell so you never miss a future video. Your support means a lot. It helps us keep creating content that informs and inspires. Now, let's keep going. Action 5. Stop giving without appreciation. One of the fastest ways to lose someone's respect is to keep giving to people who don't value what you give. And as parents, we do this more than we realize. We give our time, we give our energy, we offer support again and again, even when it goes unnoticed, even when it's clearly taken for granted. Sometimes we give, and all we get back is entitlement. But here's the truth. When you give to someone who doesn't appreciate it, you don't build love, you don't build respect, you build expectation. They stop seeing your kindness as something special and start seeing it as something they deserve. And the moment you stop giving, they don't feel thankful. They feel inconvenienced. I knew a man named George, a father from the Central Valley. He had always been generous with his children. He helped them financially whenever they asked. He rearranged his schedule to be there. He dropped everything when they needed something. But instead of gratitude, he got complaints. No thank you, no appreciation, just more requests. And the hardest part? When George finally needed their help, they were too busy. That's when he made a change. He stopped overextending himself. He stopped offering before anyone asked. And most importantly, he started saying no. At first, his kids were confused, even frustrated. They didn't understand why he wasn't bending over backward like he always did. But slowly, something changed. They started respecting his time. They began to see his generosity for what it truly was, a gift, not a guarantee. If you feel like your children don't respect your time, your effort, or your kindness, it might be time to pause and ask yourself a tough question. Am I giving more than I should? And if so, what would happen if you stopped? Because here's the thing. When people know your generosity depends on being treated with respect, they start treating it, and you, very differently. Action 6. Build a life outside of them. One of the most powerful ways to earn back your children's respect is to show them that your happiness doesn't depend on them. As parents, it's natural to center our lives around our children. We raise them, we support them, we make them our priority for decades. But as we grow older, that dynamic starts to shift. And if you've spent your whole life putting them first, without also living for yourself, they may begin to see you as someone who no longer has a life of their own. People respect those who live with purpose, who have their own interests, their own rhythm, their own quiet joy. But when your children see that you rely on them for entertainment or validation or meaning, it can feel suffocating, even overwhelming. They may start pulling away, not out of cruelty, but because they don't know how to carry the weight of being your only source of connection. I once knew a woman named Eleanor, a widow in her late 70s. After her husband passed, she poured everything into her children's lives. She called often, offered advice, even when they didn't ask for it, and quietly hoped they would fill the space that loss had left behind. But instead of drawing them closer, it pushed them away. They started visiting less, their phone calls became shorter, and Eleanor felt more alone than ever. Then one day, she made a choice. She joined a book club, started traveling with a group of friends from church. She volunteered once a week at the community center, and slowly everything changed. Her children began calling more, not out of obligation, but out of curiosity. They wanted to know what she was up to. They admired her independence. They saw her again, not just as mom, but as a full person with a full life. They respected her. So if you're wondering why your children don't treat you with the respect you deserve, ask yourself, do they see you as someone truly living or as someone waiting for their attention? Because when you show them that you are living, not just existing, they will begin to see you in a completely different light. And that changes everything. If you're still here and finding this helpful, let me know by commenting the number 6 below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to do that now and tap the bell so you never miss a new video. Your support helps us keep creating meaningful content to inform and to inspire. Final thoughts. Respect isn't something you can demand from your children. It's something you inspire through the way you carry yourself, through the boundaries you set, and through the life you choose to live. If they've started treating you with less care, less kindness, or less respect, don't waste your energy on anger. Instead, shift your approach. Stop chasing their approval, because the less you need it, the more they'll offer it. Lead by example, because your dignity speaks louder than your words ever could. Let go of emotional dependence, because the more self-sufficient you are, the more they'll value your presence. Set clear boundaries, because people only treat you as well as you require them to. Stop giving without appreciation, because when kindness is taken for granted, it loses its meaning. And most of all, build a life outside of them, because people respect those who live with joy, purpose, and quiet strength. And if you do these things, something powerful will begin to shift. Your children will start to see you differently, not as someone waiting around for their attention, but as someone who commands respect simply by being who they are. And in time, that respect will return, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. Thank you for spending this time with us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you're taking away from this and how you plan to use it in your life. Your voice matters. Reading your thoughts gives us motivation, encouragement, and a deeper sense of connection. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Your support helps us keep creating content that informs and inspires. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.